Well, we're recording.
No.
I put both the phone on mute.
Oh, good idea. Wasn't going to answer him anyway.
Okay. You make me nervous, Evelyn.
I'm not. Don't be nervous.
You the queen.
It automatically switches to her when she talks. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's how we're going to set it being the
So we don't have to do it.
little screen. When we're talking, it'll flicker to us, and
I like
then it
that.
automatically goes to her.
I like that.
All
I
right.
feel like this is too bright, but
Do we look too bright, or how's it look?
It looks good. It's just a lot of light over there on Chad's side.
All right. Here.
I guess the window.
wait, you coming up? Move this cord. Turn it to the left a little bit. I mean,
That works.
yeah, your left. All right, right there.
How's that look?
Go back.
That looks good.
Right there?
Yeah.
How we look on the big screen?
Good on the big screen. Need to shut bitch's door.
Okay.
America.
Right. Are you shut my door too?
I can't see your door.
Okay. Lots of editing.
Lots. Well, just a lot of delete.
One major. You like our little Newberry mug?
Yeah, it looks good.
Let's set it back here because you can't see the hole.
Yeah.
Wait, can you see the hole? No.
Hold on. Let me get rid of. I got a child wandering. Let me put her back in the theater room. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Mommy. How much stuff this was? We need to get one of these cameras on. Come on. It just does a, yeah. So we can set it up on there. Plug that thing into it. And things probably expensive.
I got some stuff. I put here. If we had a laptop, I can shut down all my ports, my audio ports, and just do it. I'll bring it more right.
Do what I'm gonna start doing. I'm trying to find me a charger. That's the only reason I ain't got it now. But I want a laptop. I'm gonna bring it with me every day.
All right. So you ready to spill some tea today?
Always.
Our Mike's is picking her up. Did you hear it?
I need to back the camera up then, don't I?
Maybe. Can you zoom it in?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It didn't zoom in. I still think it's all right.
Yeah, just put the coffee cup back over that. Our mics were picking you up. Sorry.
Okay.
Is that better?
I didn't hear it echoed in.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You want to leave something tonight?
Nope. I just follow in until I get used to this.
All right.
Just ain't no. They ain't paying us to have Dr. Pepper on here.
I'll show you the ingredients on this side. All right. Ready? Ready, Evie?
I'm ready.
Now, do I need to refrain from calling you Evie during this, or just stay professional with Evelyn?
You're fine. Either or.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Brandon Davis.
It's Chad.
And we're dual drive, and we're here with the Queen of Newberry, Miss Evelyn Baltnight. Miss Evelyn, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing great. It's been a challenging day, but we finally got through our technical issues, and we're glad to have you on the show tonight.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, Miss Evelyn, he told me you got your hands in everything.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much how he described it. Something to do with boats, bail bonding, real estate, taxes.
Definitely.
Where do you find time to do all this?
It's just different seasons. You got different things for different seasons. It's easy.
Bail bonding every year.
Yeah, bail bonding's all year round. It just gets a little bit crazier during the summer. It seems like everybody starts getting locked up during the summer.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out.
You think the heat has something to do with it, or people just wild out?
They get mad. The heat makes them mad. You get a lot of domestic violence, and then people are cooped up in the house throughout the day. So it's the heat.
Gotta be something, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of heat out there.
Mhm.
What was it, 107 today?
I think it was like 107, 108 felt like anyhow. Felt like it was a lot hotter.
Yes, definitely.
So Evelyn, in total, how many businesses do you have?
In total, I would say maybe 5, because typically, like real estate, I started off doing taxes, and then it kind of led into credit repair and then real estate. Um, so those are pretty much combined. I recently got into the boating and the bail bonding within the past 2 to 3 years. And it's just because I saw that there was a need for it. Not many African Americans have boats or anything of that nature. So they're like, hey, I always want to know how it feels to go on a boat. So one summer we was actually out and we went and rented a pontoon. Now I had never drove a boat, don't know how to swim, like I don't know water. I don't know water with my life jacket on, but it was fun and it was like an adrenaline rush to me. So I was like, I'm got to get me a boat. I'm about to get me a boat. So I actually went and got the boat. I'm like, okay, so anything with me, like I see things as assets or liabilities. So if a boat is just sitting up, around throughout the whole year, that's a liability to me. But if I can make it a business, then in turns it into an asset because I'm actually making money off of it rather than it's just sitting on the dock.
Absolutely. So how do you make money with the boat?
I actually rent it out. They rent it per hour. Like my minimum is 4 hours. I have some people that come, want it for the whole day. A lot of people on Lake Murray that visit during the summer, like they may have a lake house during the summer, but they don't have a boat. So in turns, they can rent out the boat for while they're here on vacation. A lot of my people that rent, a lot of my clients, like they're not from around here. I recently just rented it to a couple out of Chicago, and their daughter was going to school at USC. Didn't know anything about me, just got on the website and rented it out same day. So it's pretty much like one of those things where you don't actually have to have bookings in the pipeline. It's just basically as it comes and goes.
I got you.
How many you got, or is it just the one?
I just have just one pontoon. But it does pretty good on its own, and I'm going to expand. Just make sure that the money is doing what it's supposed to do before I actually expand. Yeah.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Now I noticed that you have is it called a side by side or is it a sidekick or slingshot?
It's called a slingshot, and I've always wanted one. I always saw them, and I'm like, I gotta have me one. I gotta have me one. And so I just stopped one day. I was online. I was like, oh, this is a steal. I felt that it was a steal for me. So I drove up there to Greenville, got it, drove it all the way back home on the interstate. Had never drove one before. Like it was adrenaline and it was cold. So I was freezing on it. But I felt like I was having so much fun and the adrenaline was just rushing. And the thing is with that, like I rent it out also. I do it on Turo. So with the Turo rentals with the slingshot, I also have my G-Wagon on there. People can rent it out just for the weekend or if they're trying to take a trip. The last person that just rented it out, they kept it from Friday through Sunday. And then I went back and picked it up that Sunday.
Okay, so was it a drop-in delivery service with your Turo?
Mm-hmm. So what I do is I just park it locally. Go back home. I give them the code to access it. They don't have to have a key because it's like code. You just type in a code, and then they drop it back off. Fill it up, drop it back off, and then it's also insured with Turo. So that in the event anything does happen, it is covered. So.
Okay. That's pretty
Yeah,
neat.
that's pretty
I like
neat.
that.
That sounds a lot better than Enterprise.
Yeah, it's a lot better than Enterprise. Most people are switching over through to Turo, as far as if you're trying to get luxury rentals. A lot of people do like those 18 passenger vans or the party buses. They're doing all that on Turo now.
Okay. Is that something you're looking to get more into in the future?
I am. I'm just starting off with just my little fleet that I have now and just seeing how that goes. I've been doing it now for about 2 years, but it's been going pretty good.
I'm proud to say I like hearing her say that. My little fleet.
Yeah.
It sounds so good. Well, in society, women aren't looked at as entrepreneurs like you are, and you have really made a stamp on just Newberry and the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
So we know about that little bit, but I want to know, how did Evelyn get her start? What made Evelyn the queen?
Yeah. I would just say, like, I grew up in Silver Street, which is the countryside of Newberry. Like, pretty much nothing out there, just cows and pastures. Like, that's where I grew up. That's where I was actually raised at. And so when I went to school, I actually went to USC in Columbia. And I just felt like, wow, like coming from a small town and being in a classroom with almost 300 students, like, I just felt like I was a number. And I'm like, is this what society is going to be like, once I graduate? And then when I did graduate, it was like, where do I go from here? Do I stay in Columbia? Do I move back home? You know, and I stayed in Columbia for about 2 years after I graduated. But then I just saw like I needed help with my daughter because I did have a daughter at that time. And I felt like, just that home feel like of being around family, friends, that was what I needed at that moment, just that support. And so when I started my business, I felt like I should bring it back to my hometown. Like I don't feel like it should be in Columbia or anywhere else. And a lot of my clients, because I have clients all over, they come from Georgia, they come from Charlotte, like they actually travel and then they see like, oh, this is a little old town. But they've recognized me through like social media just because I built my platform up. And they're like, oh my God, or they'll say, this all you charge? Like your price should be higher. And I'm like, no, I'm charging for where I'm at, where my location, not just necessarily saying that I'm not worth more or the service that I give is not worth more. It's just that I price my products and everything based off of where we're located. Because economically, we all know that Newberry is not, you know, it's not Charlotte, it's not Atlanta or anything of that nature. So we have to kind of price it based off what our clientele is making.
You said something.
Yeah.
Charlotte, big places like that. But with the way things are growing and the way things have changed since COVID, I feel like we're paying the taxes and we're dealing with the prices of other stuff around Newberry that are comparable to the big towns.
Yes, it's definitely that. I definitely feel it on the property taxes. Feel it.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
What do you think makes Newberry a hotbed like this stuff? Is it because it's so close to so many different other communities, or do you think it's just we actually have good infrastructure in Newberry, or maybe a little bit of both? What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like we're right in between Greenville and Columbia. So a lot of people, they want that hometown feeling. They want that small knit community feeling, but they also want to get the same type of service that they would get in Greenville or Columbia. It's just that we make it tend to feel a little bit more personal. Like I actually
Mm.
spoke with a client today that was thinking about listing two properties, and she was like, well, I had spoke with another agent out of Greenville, and she's like, but speaking to you, you make it seem more personal. You're actually relating to me, and I would rather work with you. And that's the thing. Like people, when you're trying to handle business, you don't want to be in a sense where you're just thinking of the money or you're just thinking of, oh, I got another client today. You have to think in relation to, okay, how can I help this person? How can I make their day better? What can I do to provide a type of service that can cater to their needs that they're having at that moment. So I feel like just being in a small town, like I pretty much know everybody or everybody knows me, or in some type of sense I went to school with them, I went to church with their parents or any of that nature, and somebody has a thing to say, or they're like, oh, go to Evelyn. Oh, Evelyn will help you out, and I feel it's a privilege and an honor, to be able to help people, but also just that small town, that small knit community, that feeling is a great feeling compared to if I would have went anywhere else.
Do you think being in Newberry is a key factor to your success, or do you think if you would have went to a Charlotte or stayed in Columbia, do you think you would have had the same success story?
I think it would have took me longer. I think it would have took me way longer if I would have went somewhere else. Whereas with Newberry, I felt like I could climb the scales a little bit faster just because I knew things and I knew my way around. Versus if you go to a Charlotte or an Atlanta, people are going to give you the runaround. People aren't going to take you serious, and I would have been right back in corporate America if I would have went somewhere else. That's what I feel. Like I felt like I would not have pursued entrepreneurship as hard if I was somewhere else.
Okay. What was your first business you done once you got out of school and everything?
Taxes. Taxes. I actually had a double wide trailer, and I had the living room area set up as my tax office. So people would actually come. I had a couch and everything. Like I had my desk area. They would come get their taxes done, and they would find me because I was down a long dirt road. So they would be driving. They would call me, "Hey, I'm looking for your house. I can't find it." And so that's pretty much how my business grew, just off of that and off of word of mouth. And back then, Facebook and things of that nature, you didn't have to run ads, you didn't have to do anything of that nature. You could just put it out there and people gravitated to it. Whereas now you have AI, you have so much different sources where you can actually create more business and more clientele.
Okay. So once you did your bail bonding, what made you go that route?
When I was at the old office up in Bear Village, there used to be a bondsman there, and he was never there. He was never there. They would come to my office. They'd be like, "Hey, is the bondsman next door in?" I'm like, "No," like they were looking for a bondsman, and he was nowhere to be found. And I'm like, okay, there's only one other bail bonding company in Newberry. And I'm like, it's an adventure. I feel like I'm ready to get from behind this desk. I want to be able to go out, do a little bit more, see more things. And I kind of got into bail bonding. I'm like, okay, I had a brother, he passed away about 4 years ago. But he was growing up, he was the one that was always into trouble. Like, so I'm like, okay, I know what a bondsman does. I've been there to see one before. But I'm like, I've never had to deal with it in that type of sense. And so after I looked into it, I was like, oh, I just got to take a couple classes. I just got to get the insurance and all that. I'm like, because I'm not putting up my property. I'd rather do it with a surety bondsman and just like write a policy and do it that way. So that kind of made me get into it. And then people were coming to me and they were like, okay, oh, you do that too now? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, give me your card. I don't really know nobody, but if it's something happen, I'll refer you. So my business just grew off of word of mouth with that. And then as of a couple of months ago, I did get a billboard, but I've been doing bail bonding now for 3 years, and it's been pretty successful.
Okay, so
time flies by.
It does.
It feels like you just started the bail bonds, really.
I know. It does.
So do you have to go out and find them sometimes and whatnot, like you see on TV?
The bounty
hunter.
The bounty hunter. So I actually created like this character on social media called Bounty Hunter Bulk Night, in which I put on.
That's why I brought it up. I've seen some of your videos.
Yeah, I put my vest and everything on, but most of my clientele, like, they either know me in some way, shape, or form. So all I have
Yeah.
to do is call, like, hey, you haven't checked in with me, everything okay? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I just forgot to call. So I don't
Yeah.
really have any problems out of them. It's just like for some the ones that come from out of town, they get a little rowdy. I did have one. She was actually from Sumter, and this was like a story. Like she met me. She came to the office. She didn't have a ride home, so we basically made sure she was comfortable until she could get a ride. And then she had court that next week, and she didn't show up to court. So they put a bench warrant on her, and they excreted me. So when they excrete the bondsman, we have to be responsible for paying that bond out of our pocket. And so I'm like, I got to get her back in custody because I don't want to pay this treatment. So she was like, I called her. She's like, oh, do your job and come find me. I'm like, come find you? Like, girl, you know who I am? I said, okay, I'll find you. So I called a bondsman out of Sumter. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know her. I'll find her for you. I'll get her brought back up here for you. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. And so he ended up sending me a video that weekend. She was actually fighting barefoot out in the field, and they were recording it. It was all on social media and everything. And she got caught and locked back up. So I went down to Sumter to fill out the paperwork for them to hold her in Sumter, so she couldn't get out. So that way they let her serve her time for Newberry down in Sumter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a situation like that, did you still have to pay that money?
No,
Or because she got locked back up?
because she got locked back up in time, I didn't have to pay.
Yeah.
Christ is averted. But there's just something about that video when Evelyn pulls up, she's like, bruh. And I'm like, this is the Evelyn not to play with. See, for the 7 years I've known her, I've always called her Evie, the queen. She's always been this sweet, bubbly personality. But there's something about that video that says, try me if you want to. But I think Evelyn will go straight.
Mess around and find out.
Yeah. As the old saying goes.
That's Bounty Hunter Fortnite.
Yeah. So I've always been curious. I know back in college you joined a sorority, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of yours. Oh, go ahead.
I actually joined the Newberry chapter of Pi Beta Omega with the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Mm-hmm.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Right. So how does being a sorority work after college? What is it like, and what does it do for Ms. Balknight?
It actually is, to me, better after college because you're still able to, do within your community. A lot of times when you join during your undergrad, you're pretty much focused on just that college. Whereas when you're joining during your kind of doing like your graduate level, you're able to focus on the community. So what we do is we give back to the community. We have like where we donate. We had donated kind of like toiletries and everything to the Newberry County Detention Center for all the women that were locked up. And we also plant a tree in Y Street Park, which I think they've renamed that park now. Just part of like giving back. We do gift baskets during Thanksgiving. Just kind of like helping the community. We do chip bags for the kids that may not have food throughout the summer or throughout the weekend. So we do those bags and give them back at the different schools, the different elementary schools around the county, just to kind of make sure that everybody's well taken care of. And it's a good thing. It's a good feeling, just to give back to your community. And then I, in turn, when I opened Evelyn Financial, the second location, when we moved on Wilson Road, I started giving back myself, where I did like a coat drive every Christmas and just gave away coats. I had Santa come out, hot chocolate, things of that nature. So just a good feeling to feel like, we can give back to our community. Yeah, we may make money all year round, but it's nothing like giving back.
Well, as somebody that's been here for so long, I actually bumped into a couple the other day. They felt falling on some hard times. And
Mhm.
they got nowhere to stay, and I called Brandon. We got him a little bit of help and everything through his church. But what do you think we can do, Newberry as a whole, to help the homeless around here?
That's the thing. Like with Newberry, with the homeless, like we really don't have any like homeless shelters. I've heard where it's a church on Main Street that does have like a pantry and they may give out things of that nature. But there's
Mm.
no real place, like no real shelter, that I know of. And I feel like Newberry needs that. Even if it's just a person that, needs somewhere to go for just a night or so.
Yeah, I mean,
And the only
especially in the heat we've had.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of, is like for the battered women, which is Sister Care. I know they
Mhm.
have a Newberry location, but other than that, there's nothing for just a regular, homeless person that is not, involved in any type of domestic situation.
But I seen them the other day,
Mhm,
and I wasn't in a position at the moment to help them.
mhm,
So I gave them my number and had them call so I could get in touch with Brandon and try to get them some help. But it just really pulled at me, and
mhm.
they've been on my mind a lot ever since then. I'm just,
Yeah.
as somebody that's been here for so long, I didn't know if maybe you knew of something that we might can let the people who watch us know about.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I just know that it's a pantry downtown. I think it's off of Friend Street. I want to say they may have like a cot or so, a cot or two down there, in their like basement area, and then I
Yeah.
do know that they have a pantry, where they give out food, but that's the only thing that I know of in Newberry. I can't remember the church's name. It's at the top of my head. I can't.
Is it on Neal Street Methodist Church?
I think so. I
I
believe
think that
so.
was one. I know for a while they had some issues, and I think they got it back open.
Hmm.
But I think as a collective, it's so hard for the churches to open their doors now
Hmm.
to people in situations because of the insurance and
Hmm.
different things.
Somebody fall, and that fall may cost the whole church to shut down,
Yeah.
or anywhere.
And the way Newberry's church system is set up, there's so many small I call them particular churches, 20, 30 members.
Hmm.
They can bear, they afford to pay their bills and take care of themselves, but they couldn't afford $100,000 or $150,000 lawsuit or stuff like that.
Yeah.
They lose everything,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's
you know.
how it is.
And that takes priority over opening up a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
I lived in Winston-Salem for several years. Winston-Salem was a huge place, but there was six or seven soup kitchens, 2 or 3 homeless shelters. Now one was for men and one was for women. You couldn't be the same one. And even the detention center opened up a pod during the wintertime when it would get extremely cold there, and allow men and women to come into these empty pods where there were no inmates, and they could stay one night.
That's good that they did that.
Yeah.
But now, I know when I was in law enforcement, like we busting out the gills with people in jail. So it's good that they were able to do that. But having a jail big enough to do it that's not already full,
Yeah.
about impossible.
Winston-Salem City Police Station, their little internal jail is probably big enough to house maybe 6 Newberry counties.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's something totally different. But I would love to see stuff for those people, because the hard thing is when you're dealing with people like in recovery, there's churches and there's places that have recovery, but there's nobody that's helping people with their financial issues. And Evelyn, I know
No.
you've taught classes and doing things on real estate before, but how much of it is just not the lack of knowledge that these people have about how to operate?
Hmm.
What would you say about that?
It's great. Like it's a huge deal just from our community and just from talking to people. Like I could start up a conversation while I'm just sitting there doing their taxes and just seeing that, you know, what I know is not being taught in school. How to purchase a home, how to make sure your credit is straight. These are things that are not taught in school at all. So people are just trying to, free will it. And if your parents never owned a home, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be renting just like they are because you never seen it growing up. Not unless you actually want better and you have that ambition and that drive to go out and purchase a home. But it's just knowing and having the steps. Like people always say, oh, this is my first time, bear with me, are you gonna hold my hand? And just really like you actually have to hold their hand. Like
Right.
they'll see, even just working on their credit, when they see their credit score shoot up, it's like, oh, a kid in the candy store, I'm ready to go buy a new car. I'm ready to get this credit
Yeah.
card. I'm about to max this credit card out. And you can't do that. Not when you're trying to purchase a home. Like I've had clients, fall through the cracks where, we're getting them ready to purchase. And all of a sudden they pop up with a new car at our first showing. And I'm like, whose car is that? Like, that's your car? Like, oh my, you just killed our deal because of the fact that now your debt to income is back through the roof. So now you're not going to be able to purchase this home. Or you go and you start maxing out credit cards because you think that this is free money or money that you'll pay back, but it's going to be paid back in so much interest over the long term. So that's the thing when I talk to people about their finances and things of that nature, I just want them to get the understanding that it requires a lot of discipline. And when you're growing up, you don't have that type of discipline, or you haven't been taught that. It's hard to, ingrain that into people.
I have to agree with that statement.
And we deal with the mobile homes, and Chad, every customer, we have a form. The very first form they sign before they fill out the credit app is don't do this, don't do that. This will destroy your loan. And you won't believe the 40, 50, and 60-year-old people that have never had ownership that Chad literally has to line by line explain. Okay, if you take this credit card and max it out, you will lose your home loan. If you run your credit again, you will mess your home loan. Everything has to be, and I guess for people that have been through it once or twice, we look back and say, I'm shocked at how many people don't know Evelyn.
Yeah. It's shocking, but it's a lot of people that do not know. And I have the home buyers workshop. I try to have at least one per year. But the ones that need to show up don't show up. It's a lot of them that come. I had a couple even come from Rock Hill last time that I had my home buyers workshop. I only had like 2 people from Newberry show up. And those are the ones that actually need it. Like we're doing it for the community, but the community does not show up.
Yeah, I've seen before, like, let's just give an example of like somebody put something on Facebook to help the community. Everybody and their mama is all involved to it till the day of. Then it's like nobody shows up.
Well, what do you think contributes to that? Is it just small town? They just want to give you an attaboy, hey, we're going to be there, and they don't really mean it, or are they just scared to show up?
I think it may be a little bit of both. Like they may feel like they're overcommitting themselves, or they just may feel like, I don't want to tell her I'm not coming and then don't come, But I just feel like maybe they feel like they're not ready, or they feel scared. Like a lot of people, when you talk to people about finances, it can be a bit intimidating. So what I try to do is make it as simple as I can. Like I try to talk to someone like I'm just talking to my best friend. Like, hey, get this card. If you got a $300 limit, don't spend no more than $100. Like, just telling them not, instead of me saying don't use no more than 30% utilization. They're gonna look at me like, what is that? Like, so I try to I try to give it in terms of, just regular conversation versus, and then the things that they see on TikTok and they try to compare also. And it's like, what did I just say?
Something mean gets killed it.
I love this new social media, how these people are so influencing the market and they've never been in it. Like these car guys, like, oh, when you go to the car lot, tell me you want the best cash price, even if you're financing.
Yeah.
The best price is the best price. You can't legally have 2 prices. Your cash and your finance price has to be the same in the car business, or At least in our state, it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to disclose all your fees up front. So all those dealers, like in Columbia and other places that advertise this, but then when you get there, they're like, oh, there's another $4,000 on top of it.
Yeah,
They're not supposed to do it, but the people don't know how to say no.
No.
yeah, the admin fees,
Yeah.
like even the dock fees. We were talking about it earlier. We don't even have that here.
Yeah. And so, I had a customer come up and looked at an almost brand new like car. She's like, oh, I can go buy this one brand new for 30. I'm selling it for 22. But when she got there, it was 34.9.
Mm-hmm.
Because she didn't qualify for this, she didn't qualify for that. Oh, we put Protection Plus on this, we put this and that. So,
We do that.
now she's got a $15,000 jump up, and and the thing is, she'll never come back and buy from us because she's too embarrassed because she told us our price wasn't good enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now
the price is through the roof.
and I want to hear from the queen.
Mm-hmm.
Now she has. Let's see if we can name the fleet. I know you got the G-Wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got the Slingshot.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got? You got the Land Rover still?
No, I have the Escalade.
Yeah, what I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got.
She got better cars than the car dealers. So
I got the GMC Sierra, and we got that one lifted, so I got to jump in and out of that one.
Well, if you ever get tired of it, let a brother know. Okay.
Okay.
But as a woman, so this is probably one business you don't own, is you don't have your own car lot.
No.
Yeah. She might open up Evelyn's Auto Sales tomorrow. Who knows? They might be building it now.
Hey, if you do, come to us. We'll sell you the building.
Okay.
So to empower a woman
Mm-hmm.
that's going into a market to buy a car, what are some things you would tell her to do to get the best deal possible at any car lot?
At any car lot, are they doing business financing or are they doing personal?
Personal.
Okay, personal. What I would tell them to do is if they have a credit union, they're going to want to do a pre-approval first, either that morning before they go to the dealership, get their pre-approval. I usually deal with Navy Federal. So what I do is with Navy Federal, I do my application online. I don't tell what type of car I'm getting. I just put an amount in there that I'm thinking I'm going to be in that ballpark range for. And then I go to Navy Federal and pick up my check. So once I go to that dealership, I now have my check in hand. I don't need to get my credit blasted everywhere. I don't need, for them to be sending everything out and my score dropping because I don't need all these hard inquiries. They're not going to tell me what car they're going to put me in. I pick my car. I know what I want, what my taste is. So basically, I'm like, okay, I want to test drive that one. I want to test drive that one. And when you're test driving, your radio off, windows down, making sure you're hearing everything, checking under the hood. It's not just because the car is nice, new, and shiny. You're making sure everything is how it's supposed to be. No lights on the dash. And then even if the car is a used car, you're going to want to make sure you get that Carfax. So you're able to see, has this car made any accidents? Navy Federal is also one of those where they'll actually send you the Carfax once you decide on that car. So you're able to see, everything about the car before you actually take it home. And then you sign off on your paperwork. Usually I'm at the dealership if I'm purchasing a car no longer than an hour. Now, when you're trying to get approved and all that, and they're pulling your credit and sending it to this bank, that bank, you may be at a dealership all day. It doesn't take that long to buy a car. It doesn't take that long to buy a car. So with that pre-approval and that check, all the dealer has to do is sign off on it, put how much that car was worth, send it in to Navy Federal. Navy Federal handles all the paperwork. You drive home. Like, it's simple. And that's how I purchase all my cars. I do not go. I think with the G-Wagon, I didn't even go to the dealership. I seen it online, and we did everything online, and then they came to me on a rollback. so like
the G-Wagon.
G-Wagon.
They got wagoned in.
Yeah.
What about the people who don't have something like that, like
Yeah.
the challenge credit? They can't just call Navy Fed.
Mhm.
But don't you got to be some kind of military or
You
have
have to
family?
have some type of affiliation.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have Navy Federal, any type of credit union like will be able to help you. You'll get the better rate at like a credit union. But if you don't have those options, if your credit is not where it needs to be, making sure that you're purchasing a car that it does not necessarily have to be expensive. It does not necessarily have to have all the bells and whistles. Starting off, you may want to purchase something that you feel like you can afford monthly and then work your way up. Because with that, when you purchase that card, you're going to start building your credit. You may get like a secured credit card, or even if you can get an unsecured, that'll be great also. But while you're building up your credit, once your score reaches a certain level, you can refinance that car or you can trade that car in, because more than likely your interest rate is already through the roof just starting off. So you're wanting to refinance to get to a lower rate or trade for a lower rate.
So, Ellen, you know a lot about credit.
Mhm.
What? Now, I know different industries look at credit differently, but overall, what is a good timeline to have if let's say I've never bought a car before, but I've been on my job a couple of years, I make the money to afford a decent payment. How long should I have established credit before I even go to try to buy a car if I don't have a cosigner? Because most time, first-time buyers don't have cosigners.
I would say at least within 6 months. So when you're trying to build your credit up, get a credit card. If you don't have access to a credit card, get a secured card. If you have a parent or a family member or a friend that has a credit card that has had it in good standing within a certain amount of years, you can ask them to add you as an authorized user on their credit card. This will then report all their utilization, all their history to your credit. Now, I've had an uncle that paid cash for everything. He never had credit. He was 60 years old and he had a 700 credit score. He went from 0 to 700 because all I did was add him to my credit card. I had a Capital One card with great utilization. I had it for like 5 years. Added him to my to that Capital One card. He automatically had a 700 credit score, and that was just because. That was just because
I'm trying to find somebody to hook me up.
And that's the thing, like, how like you've heard of purchasing trade lines. Like people may try to sell trade lines. They do it a lot in like the big cities. They definitely do it a lot in Atlanta. But they may try to sell you a trade line for like $3,000, and it's a Amex card with a $30,000 trade line, and basically you don't have access to that 30,000. That 30,000 is only going to just report on your credit to make your credit seem like it's 700 or 800 credit score in order for you to get what you want. But you're just paying just to get that trade line added to your credit. And that's what people do a lot, in the major cities. Like they do that a whole lot. When in turn, all you had to do was ask a friend instead of paying all this money for a trade line.
Yeah.
But now, what would happen if that trade line went upside down? It would hurt the credit too, correct?
It would turn your credit too. So, say for example, if they have a late payment, a 30-day late payment hit, that's going to also hit on your credit.
That's scary.
That's why you get someone that you can trust, someone that pays their bills, making sure that they actually have, a stable foundation before you get added to it.
Better call grandma.
You're right. Better call grandma. Yeah. That's actually how I got my credit score. My grandma she had a $3,000 credit limit on her Discover card. She had it for 30 years and never one time swiped it.
Oh wow.
They called her one weekend. It was like, Miss Lizzie, if you don't use your credit card, we're going to have to turn it off. And she's like, well, I don't have nothing to buy with it. I pay cash for everything. I said, Grandma, I know what to do with it. So I went to Walmart and got me some hunting stuff for about $40, $50. And I paid it off, and they left her alone. She said, well, won't I just add it to you? You use it for gas, and you just pay me. I said, that'll work.
That'll work.
So here I am, 19 years old, got my own little credit card, couldn't tell me nothing.
Exactly.
And now I'm a homeowner, car owner, everything. So,
Yeah.
but again, I had grandparents and parents that had knowledge of credit because we were a farming community where I grew up from. So we had to have credit because there's times that you had to borrow money off your future crops or your future stuff to be able to, get through the winter sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it wasn't often, but it happened.
What's the saying? Borrow from Peter to pay Paul, or
Yeah,
something like that.
Rob Peter to pay Paul,
There
or
you
something
go.
like that.
Yeah.
Robbing, borrowing, whatever.
I don't know.
So, well, Evelyn, I know you've got a lot going on and you got some kids to go to, but one last thing before we let you go. If somebody wants to be the next Evelyn Ball, now, if somebody wants to have a legacy to leave behind as something as great as you, because I know you have a legacy this big and bigger, what is that special secret sauce that you would like to tell them? What is something you would tell the next entrepreneur coming up?
Just stay focused. The world is full of distractions, and the thing is, if you have to have that ambition, it's got to be something. Like, I always ask people that are in business, like, what is your why? Is your why your kids? Is your why your family? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because if it's only because of the money, or if it's only because of feeling like you'll have some type of fame, it will not last. You have to have something that is bigger than yourself, and you have to have that discipline and that drive to keep going. Because there may be days when you're in business and you may make $30,000 a day, and there's some days in business where you don't make anything. And those days that you don't make anything, those are the days that you're going to feel like you're being tested. Those are the days where you're going to feel like, hey, this is not for me. I'm going back to work. I'm going back to corporate America. And those are the days that's going to make sure, like, hey, God, what are you trying to tell me? What is it that you're trying to show me? And that sometimes means that it's just time to pivot. Instead of changing up, it's just time to pivot. Do it a little bit differently. Yet, my thing is, if God gave you a vision and He brought you to it, then everything that gets thrown at you, you'll get through it. And that's just how I live. That's my motto. Like, you're gonna get through it. So
That's
just
good.
keep the faith, keep praying, make sure that anytime you're getting ready to think of an ideal, make sure you ask God before it. And when I sleep, like at night, I put a notebook beside my bed. So when I wake up, or if I wake up in the middle of the night with something on my mind, I write it down. Because more than likely, God is trying to show me something or tell me something. And I take that as a word of, you know, this is not it. Like, this is not it. Or maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to implement that. So that's how I live by. Like, everything is not set in stone. It doesn't have to be set in stone. Where they say, oh, women should belong in the kitchen or taking care of the kids. That is not me. That is not me. I'm door dashing every day. I don't have time to cook. I have businesses to run. I have babies to see about. I feel like if it's for me, it's for me. And if it's not, then God knows. But my thing is, I just keep the faith. Like, when things seem like they're cloudy, I know that the sun will eventually come back out. And that's just how I live.
Amen. I like that a whole lot. Well, you have been the most encouraging. I love your smile. You are always a pleasure to be around.
Thank you.
Anything from you? Questions, concerns?
Anything from me? I want to do another one.
I think we need to do a part two because there's just so much we can pull from
I don't
you.
even think we scratched the surface, to be honest with you.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
But Lord, we don't want to hold her for 16 hours at one time
I
either.
know she's got so much knowledge, and we're gonna pick your brain some more. So we look forward to doing a future show with you. Maybe we can get together and do a knowledge class and teach some of these Newberry people some good financial literature one day.
Definitely. I'll be glad to do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, the Queen. As always, we appreciate you. Blessings to you and your family, and we look forward to doing it again. Okay.
All right. You have a good one.
All right.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Good to see you.
Bye bye.
You gotta go to your thing and stop it.
Well, that's only fun.
Is it?